Yeah, I think it's interesting to see how the landscape is changing because I feel like we're going through a social revolution at the moment and things are changing so quickly, and I feel like a lot of businesses are trying to like find their footing of what side of history they want to be on, which is really, really interesting to see. Like if you take a step back and you look at it objectively and you're like, I don't know if this is like the best thing to be doing. You know, like you were saying about like, you know, like Disney and all these other brands that have like, we want to do this and we want to have a specific message because we're doing this. And those who know me know I'm a huge fan of Disney, but I also criticize a lot of the things that they do. But like, again, Disney's a family brand that has brought in so much great IP and they're telling amazing stories in so many different avenues. But at the same time, you know, they're doing like shady stuff. Like for the Mulan live action movie, they've you know, in the credits of the film, they thanked the part of the Chinese government that's doing terrible things to the Uyghur Muslim population. And it's like, how are you allowing stuff like that? And why were you there to begin with? And it just proves how murky the waters can be.
Yeah.
Disney's such an interesting example, just because, like, with Disney Plus, how many IPs they've actually, like, they own Star Wars now, they own Marvel now, like, eventually they're going to own, like, everything pretty much.
They've got the Infinity Gauntlet of IP.
They've got the Infinity Gauntlet of IPs, like, and like you were saying, like, with Mulan, like, they do some shady stuff here and there, and it's like...
Yeah, and they do a lot of like, you know, obviously so much reactionary stuff as well, like you know, the actress from The Mandalorian, Gina Carano, who got fired because she said some arguably silly things online, you know, that were controversial. She got fired and she lost her job because of that,
because a couple of comments on Twitter.
And like I read those comments and I was like, I understand what you're trying to say, and in today's political climate I think it's risky to say those things, but I'm also a big proponent of freedom of speech, and I think you should be allowed to say whatever you want and not be criticized in a way that might lead to the termination of your job. And I feel like we live in this situation where like, oh, there's like, you know, 20,000 people, you know, trending on Twitter about this one issue. Ban or fire them. You know?
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture,
You shouldn't be fired because of a comment you made like 10 years ago. Like, it's...
Exactly, and the Kevin Hart example was really depressing for me because, you know, Kevin Hart, who people might not know who he is, he's like a comedian and actor. He's been in a lot of big budget productions and stuff like Jumanji and all that type of stuff, but his lifelong goal was to be the host of the Oscars, and he got given that opportunity, and then people on the internet, bunch of nobodies, basically tweeted and said, nah, you made a joke about homophobic sorts of stuff like in 2011, and the Oscars were like, if you don't apologize, we're not letting you host the Oscars. And he's like, I'm not apologizing for a joke I made 11 years ago, and main point, it's a fucking joke, you know? Like,
silly.
it was silly, and that man, I feel so sorry for him because he lost his dream job. And you know, stuff like that I think is happening, you know, in so many different areas and so many different industries and stuff like that, and it's really sad to see. And I think it's it's definitely interesting with regards to how different companies and organizations have this sort of agenda and how they're pushing that in a way that is kind of that they want to be on the right side of history, and I think it's interesting.
It's very much led by film as well. This is the thing, is like it's cyclic in nature. The way that like something like Disney, because they promote certain family values and certain ideas, that then spurns other people in society believing those values and believing those ideas. Like, and then that kind of reverberates and creates more of that, which then, I mean, people need to think for themselves, and in the end we're becoming very very sensitive to a lot of things that, I don't know, how do you say it?
Yeah, it's like
people becoming, like, I know it's a kind of taken as a joke, but there's a lot of snowflakes out there.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like, people are kind of being snowflakes, essentially. Like you said before, like, it's just a joke. Like, obviously there's some things that are, like, absolutely unacceptable to joke about, but other things like giving a political opinion or just making a joke about something, they're not like, they shouldn't
Yeah.
have a sea of random people typing away at their phones and computers, telling them off, and then to be told, you have to apologize. Like,
not only does it not make any sense, but it's the way we figure shit out. Is if we have a discourse and we try and, you know, say, all right, well, this works correctly, or this doesn't work right. I don't agree with that, or we can change that. That's how we get change and meaningful change, is when we have these discussions. And when you have someone raise a point and then it gets shut down and we just like, all right, we don't want to talk to you ever again. Your opinion isn't valid because we don't agree with you.
Yeah.
We don't figure shit out that way. That's just my opinion, at least.
especially
so.
when it comes to comedy. Like, so many stand-up comedians get shit on because...
I know. Well, yeah.
But even, like, in terms of film, like... Even in, like, the future, comedy's going to change because people are just not going to joke
It
about
already
the same...
has, yeah.
And it
Yeah.
already has. Like,
Yeah.
people can't joke about the same things they could 10 years ago without, like, being attacked. So everyone's trying to be careful. And especially in film, like, oh, do I really want to make this film about this topic because I could offend people? So it's completely, like, crushing our society.
Yeah.
There's no experimentation
Yeah.
because people are too afraid. And that's the thing, is it
Which I think is actually, sorry to interrupt, but that's the thing that's so important, isn't it? Like taking
Yeah.
a risk with
Yeah.
art.
Yeah.
Because then that's how you create something that people react to, that's like, wow, that was awesome, or that emotionally affected me in a really profound way.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
I think
so.
bringing it back to Smile was when I read the script, I was like, wow, there's a lot of, like, intense language and these are really dark themes. Like, I'd love to help you tell this story and, like, to see how people react to something like that, you
Yeah.
know?